Hello, my beautiful lovies, dancing unicorns. Welcome back to the show, AG University podcast. I am so excited that you are here today. Today is a great day. Everybody say it with me. Today is a great day. And if it hasn't been a great day so far, that's okay. We can still course correct. And if not, tomorrow is a new fresh start. So I am so excited that you guys are here. AG University is a school from the cosmos, a school to reconnect you with your intuitive voice, your intuitive knowing. Hi, it's me at Anna Grace Newell on all major listening platforms. And I'm sorry, all social media platforms, those two. It's early in the morning for me today as I record this introduction, but we're here. We're doing it. We're thriving. We're living. And this is a really fun episode that I'm super excited for you guys to listen to because I feel like this one has so many golden nuggets inside. We just went everywhere. And I love those conversations where we're kind of touching on so many different things than I even intended to touch on because I listened back and was like, wait, wow, I'm so excited. I feel so inspired by this episode. I would like to go ahead and welcome Chef Whitney Aronoff to the show. And she is the podcast host of High Vibration Living with Chef Whitney Aronoff. And she is a celebrity chef who also is an intuitive. She has mediumship skills, but she really is super connected to food. And I love that. I think that anyone who is a chef has a really special gift for being able to read the energy of food, understand food as a healing modality. And so she gives us so many different ideas and recipes and little healing remedies, ways that we can ground ourselves through food. We talk about why it's fun to manifest on your birthday. We talk about relationship. We talk about ways to elevate your eating experience and to view it as an act of self-love. We really just go into so many different facets of really seeing food as a time to love ourselves and nourish our bodies. And I always want to sing that from the rooftops. And this was just a really, like, truly, it was a very high vibrational conversation. I walked away just feeling so inspired to cook and to create and to show love to my body. And I really always want to hold that vibration and that frequency for you guys so that you feel that way as well, because it is such a gift that we get to eat and we have access to food and we can take care of ourselves. And we really just talk about rooting everything in intention and love. And it was just a really light filled, beautiful conversation. Whitney is such a beautiful, beautiful soul. And we made plans to link up next time I'm in Laguna. I told her, I was like, Austin and I want to go for our anniversary because, that's where we got engaged. So I'm looking forward to our paths crossing IRL someday soon. But the vibes are just immaculate. And I hope you guys get some beautiful insight as I did from this conversation. And as always, if you feel so called to sharing, share with a friend. But in the meantime, Chef Whitney, welcome to the show, sister. We love you so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your time and energy with AGU. Let's get into it. Okay, you guys, welcome back to AG University podcast. Chef Whitney is in the house.
Yeah, hi everyone. So happy to be here and really excited to be chatting with you today. I've already loved our conversation so far.
Yeah, we had to chat just a little bit off the mic just to get to know each other. And Whitney has been an absolute she's in it with me. Mercury is retrograding. We were having all kinds of little technical issues. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I haven't had one tech issue since recording this podcast. But she's like, no worries. So thank you for your kindness and your love. I can feel it through the screen. And just tell everyone about us. Tell everyone about you. What do you do? Tell us everything.
Yeah, so I'm a health supportive chef based in Laguna Beach, California. And my focus is really healthy, whole foods, high vibration cooking. So my goal is to help my clients understand what real food is and how the way food grows or is prepared changes how they feel in their body. Food is a transfer of energy. There's a lot of different ways we can get energy, from breath work, from time in the sun, from yoga, that prana life force. And I think the greatest thing that we can all do is learn how to manage the energy that we receive through food. And I consider that kind of the foundation for spiritual practice. And once you get your food right, then your third eye will naturally open up. Your intuition, your gut feelings, everything else will relax and come to you and flow to you with more ease and grace. Everything can open up to you. All the modalities that you do, the health and wellness practices, all will settle into your tissues and your body at a cellular level when you get your food right.
I believe that so fully. I absolutely, yes. So tell us, how did you come into this work? Like, what is your journey with food? How did you learn this information?
So, my spiritual practices and gifts opened up to me at different times throughout my childhood and, my early adult life. But I think, like many women, we just want to figure out what makes us feel good and how to, I would say, just like feel pretty, be skinny, be healthy, whatever that is for you. And we often don't get taught how to eat. We grow up eating what we're fed, and then we develop a social life with our friends and we eat in places that, works for our budget or where we're living. And it takes us time to understand nutrition. And so I really wanted to learn how to eat to feel good in my body every day. Like, what is real whole foods? What were my great great grandparents eating? What were they eating that allowed them to thrive versus just simply survive? And
Mm.
that just fascinated me. So I got to a point where I just felt like, with all my digestive issues and my health issues, that I needed to stop outsourcing my well being to other people that just weren't getting what I was saying to them. So I decided that I would just heal myself with food. And I found a health supportive culinary school called the Natural Gourmet Institute, which was the first health supportive culinary school founded in the US in 1970 by Dr. Anne Marie Colbin. And I just thought, I can heal my gut issues. I can heal and improve my energy levels. Like, I can take it all into my own hands because I know how I'm feeling every day. I can learn the tools. And I started there. Simply, I just wanted to know for myself.
Also, that's the best mission that we could ever go on, is just being like, how can I feel good? Because so many people don't even realize that that's a possibility. They're like, "And if I want these certain outcomes, good health, whatever."
Yeah.
Sometimes we put ourselves through like the most extreme situations that I find are so unnecessary. And that's a huge part of my podcast. I always tell people, I'm like, we are meant to be playful. We are meant to have fun. We're meant to feel good. It's not meant to be like the hardest thing ever, eating things that we don't like just because we think they're quote, quote, healthy. Like, there's
Yes.
so much beauty in embarking on a journey of just being like, I want to feel good. And what does it even look like? How does it even feel? No one ever taught me.
And you nailed it, that you should be enjoying what you eat. And if you aren't enjoying it, then you're not preparing it right or you're not choosing the right ingredients. So, one example I'll give for the way people think they're supposed to eat to be healthy is salads and smoothies. And I was living in New York City going to culinary school. It was the middle of winter. It was snowing outside. I was having to walk to school in, like, 20, 30-degree weather, and I was freezing cold all the time. But I was having a smoothie for breakfast and a salad for lunch, and then probably some sort of leftovers from culinary school, and eating it cold. So I was eating cold food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then wondering why I was cold and just blaming the weather, not understanding that in the wintertime we have to eat hot foods to warm our body. So I should be having, like, eggs for breakfast or a warm bowl of oatmeal. I should be having soup for lunch. I should be having a warm meal for dinner. And that's health food. Health food isn't salads and smoothies. It's just real whole food from scratch, and we need to eat warm meals for the season, but also for our digestive fire. Our body digests foods better when it's room temperature or when it's warm or hot. It actually, when we eat cold foods, it puts out the fire. And that's when we, especially women, really start to develop digestive and gut issues.
So you said you personally struggled with a lot of digestive issues before this?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's a blend. Like, I think it's emotions that we don't process,
Hmm.
just always sucking it up, putting a smile on our face, not wanting to feel what we're feeling, with a combination of eating processed foods that we don't realize are processed foods, and also eating foods that are just not prepared properly. So, if you're eating a diet filled with lots of nuts, with grains that aren't properly washed and soaked, there's a lot of food that we think is health food that requires more time and energy to prepare it properly, that when you do it the correct way, you don't have the digestive distress.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, which is frustrating because, I mean, I really have gotten to a place where I don't even want to look on Instagram or TikTok for food advice ever because
Yes.
it's everything. Something's wrong with everything according to some random nutrition person on one of the platforms. And it's frustrating because like lately grains have been villainized in
Yep.
social media. But it's also it really just goes back to the process of which they're prepared, right? Like all
Yes.
things are not bad, or even seeds, nuts and seeds can be toxic, or I don't even know, whatever. I don't
Yes.
listen to any of it, but it all goes back to the preparation, right?
Yes, please turn off those people. Get them out of your feed. Change your algorithm. If they're taking real whole foods and making them bad, whether that's a nightshade or rice or walnuts or fruit, like turn it off and then simplify. So eat fruit in season. So when it's apple season, chow down. When it's berry season, go for it. Like we're entering the season of peaches and nectarines and plums. Like it's there for a reason. It's providing you a nutrient density, a form of hydration, that's perfect for this time of year. So you buy the best version that you can afford, whether it's from the farmer's market or a grocery store. You try to find ones that aren't covered in wax or sprays. Um, but you meet yourself where you're at personally and financially, and you try to buy the best quality and in season. And it's good for you. If you're someone that wants to go down the road to buy raw nuts, soak them, sprout them, roast them, go for it. If that's not your jam, at least learn how to like wash your rice or soak it overnight or your quinoa and prepare it properly. And then once you learn these techniques, you do it faster and faster every time where it doesn't feel like extra work. It's just how you make quinoa or how you make beans from scratch. It becomes really easy. It's just the first time of trying something new. It's causing you to create that new neural pathway in your brain and the new physical activity in your body. And then after that, it gets easier.
Mm. So what are some of your favorite go-tos that you're like, okay, if you're at least going to eat rice or something that you make a staple that you eat all the time and you're like,
Yeah.
everyone needs to know how to do this or how to prepare this. This is like your favorite thing. What
You
are
know
some of
what?
those?
There's so many, but I do a really good job of stocking my fridge. So, as a chef, I'm cooking healthy meals for 5 different families every week. So, I'm going to someone's house, cooking 5 entrees, sides, doing it over and over again. I have to be able to prepare my fridge with healthy meals. So, when I get home, I can do for myself what I do for others. Otherwise, I'll
Mm.
have nothing left to give. It's like the oxygen mask. You have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can support others. So I make sure that my fridge has what I need so I can eat healthy throughout the week. One thing I love is a paleo chili. So
Mm.
buying good quality ground meat can be bison, it can be venison, it can be ground beef, it can be elk, it can be as creative as you want to be, turkey, and making a chili with all fresh ingredients. So nothing canned. So we're not adding canned beans, we're not adding canned tomatoes. We're using real celery, onion, carrots, tomatoes, fresh organic spices, and then I'm adding in a bone broth. So that way I'm getting a
Mm.
little extra gut support and flavor as well as water and then letting that simmer. And I love having that in the fridge, like at least once a month as a really great quick go-to meal. And then on top of that, like I love preparing a variety of different types of sweet potatoes, whether it's Japanese yams or a classic sweet potato or a purple sweet potato, just slicing them in half, baking them in the oven, and then you pull them out of the fridge cold. You put a little ghee on top or olive oil with a little sea salt, and you have a healthy starch when you need a little carb.
Mm. We are the biggest sweet potato family ever. And this is one which I would love for you to speak to because I know you know about this, but whenever I do a lot of readings, I get elevated to this place. My fiance is the most grounded human on the planet. He is like stable energy. He is a rock. I'm always like, I need you to like give me one of those grounding hugs because sometimes,
Yeah.
I'll just be like, woo, I was so up here out of my body. And so sweet potatoes have always been my hack because they grow in the ground and they're very grounding to me, literally,
Yes.
because they come from the ground. So I always tell people like, if you're doing tons of energy work, I don't do as much in a day as I used to. So I don't struggle as much, but I still love a sweet potato for a grounding food or a grounding meal. So I'm curious if you have any other like grounding foods or grounding practices that you are loving.
This is my wheelhouse. I love you for bringing this up, and I hope this supports the listeners. Because, as you know, like I do a lot of meditation and mediumship work as well. And I know that feeling when you've left your body and you know you need to get back in it. So, anything that grows under the ground, so
Mm,
carrots, parsnips, beets, radishes.
mm,
If you know it has a little bit of dirt on it, that's so good at getting you back in the body. So if I think of good, better, best for like really getting back into this physical being, a great place to start is those root vegetables. But the next best thing is actually animal protein.
mm.
That'll really get you back into your body faster. And if you need to slam back into yourself, like you've been at a spiritual retreat meditating for 5, 6 days, or you've been in a really high vibration place where you know you're kind of just spinning upward and out, the most powerful food to get you back into your body is actually pork.
Really?
And I learned that from a woman, astrologer named Lavendar. She's the woman who coined the term starseed. And she
Cool.
was Frank Sinatra's astrologer. She was Shirley MacLaine's astrologer, the entire Rat Pack. And she taught me that the best thing that you can do at the end of a retreat, if you really need to get back down, is have pork.
Wow. Does she say why? I was not expecting pork, but I'm
Yeah,
so interested.
because it's super grounding. It's
Mm,
actually so pork, shark, octopus
mm,
are three of the animal proteins that are hardest for the body to digest.
mm.
So I use pork sparingly from a vibration standpoint, but it serves a purpose, as everything on this planet serves a purpose, right? There's a
Yes.
food for every season. And there's a food for every energetic need. So, make that BLT with some really good quality bacon when
Mm.
you need to get back down, add it to an
Love.
omelet, put it in your salad with a bunch of roasted root vegetables like carrots and parsnips. There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy we're having this conversation because, I was someone, I would say growing up as a child, I was always a natural vegetarian. Like my mom would try to give me meat and I would just always kind of, spit it out
Yeah.
like it was, or it was like the texture was hard for me to chew. I don't know. I was so little. I don't remember, but that's just what I've heard. And then getting out of college was when we were in that big, the movie The Game Changers came out and like everyone was plant-based. And there's trends that go with media. And this was also when I was in like hardcore vegan era, was before my massive spiritual awakening. So I don't think I was as in tune. Are you about to say you had the same thing?
Same thing. I love you. Yes.
And so it really wasn't until like I slowly over the last few years would start to add in a little bit of protein here and there just because I knew with my cycle and I started learning about Chinese medicine and they're very, into meat based products. And then a few months ago, I received a autoimmune diagnosis from a doctor and then, just doing some research and what I was needing at the moment to support my liver was like less sugar, less grains, which was a temporary kind
Mhm.
of detox that I was doing that I really intuitively felt called to. But it was like probably the most amount of animal protein that I've been consuming in years. And I'm very conflicted because I believe, I'm like, I don't know how much because I believe we live in a society where they're always like way too much. Like they're always, pushing way too many animal products on people. But in this season of healing, animal protein has been great. So
Mhm.
basically, I'm all across the map. And I think that we went from being a plant based narrative to like now people are like carnivore diet. And I'm like, oh, which both are quite extreme. But I would just love to hear your take. Like, take us on this roller coaster journey.
Yes.
Tell me everything. What are your thoughts?
Well, when we think about these trends in food and these diets, there's always more behind it than we realize. So if you look at the movement for raw food, that actually happened in the 1970s as a way to just try to get people to eat more vegetables. It actually wasn't a lifestyle. Like it actually
Mm.
wasn't a diet or a lifestyle. Being
Mhm.
100% raw is not a thing. Like it's not what humans have done, but it's been sold a completely different way and taken out of context. So, in my personal opinion, from what I learned at the culinary school that I went to, if you look at carnivore diet or veganism, they're extremes that have been taken out of context for agendas that we aren't even aware of. You could
Mm.
ultimately, if you are a brave journalist, you could find the end, the root cause of those agendas.
Mhm.
But that agenda isn't to support your highest
Your highest
frequency,
good.
your highest good.
Yeah.
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 I think you deep down intuitively know what's right for you at the right time.
Mhm.
And then when you can't figure it out because there's too much noise, that's when you go out and you seek guidance. I find it very interesting that both you and I moved towards veganism before our psychic abilities expanded to another level. And I like to think that like somehow my body knew I just needed to kind of like clean the pipes.
Mhm.
And then I took it too long. I did it for too long that I got really sick. My skin color changed. I got really yellow and pale. My body stopped
Mm.
producing bile. I couldn't digest food.
Oh
I
no.
started to have all these, chronic fatigue symptoms. And I had to go back to eating meat. Like if I just wanted to be a healthy human being that could
Mhm.
exist. But being vegan for a short period of time was great because it advanced my psychic abilities. I was able to
Okay.
see ghosts and hear messages super clearly. So, what I learned is if I really need clarity and answers, I could just go vegan or vegetarian for a day or two or three. But then you can also just strengthen your pineal gland, your third eye, your ability to move the energy in your body in a way that you can get the answers all the time.
Mm.
Like you start with the strict spiritual routine, and then you start to learn, wow, I can sit here on this park bench, or like I'm at the beach. I can just take a moment and call in my guides and get the answers that I need right now. It doesn't have to be this huge, big routine. And so I think it's like that with food too, is that we'll go through these different phases of extreme diets until ultimately you learn to create balance and trust your instincts and your cravings, because it means there's something from that food that your body's craving.
Mm, mm. I'm so big about listening to my cravings. And I always tell Austin's my fiance, I'm always like, oh, like I can like tap into my taste buds and want something really specific. And he's like, how do you do that? Like to him, he's just like, food is fuel. Like I am man, protect and provide. Like he's just like, but I'm like, no, I can really tap into something very specific.
Yes,
And
me too.
because I'm always like, what are you in the mood for? And he's like, you know that I'm never in the mood really for anything. Like I just want food. And I'm like, that is so weird. I'm always in the mood for something
Yes.
that I think there's intel there. I think there's information there. And also for me, it also, I'm really big about mixing food and pleasure because I feel like diet culture stripped that of all women at some point in their life. I don't know. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people were like, I have to hate this in order to be skinny or something terrible. You know, you're eating like a tuna
Yeah.
packet out of a, what I'm saying, something gross. So, what is your experience with the energetics of food and pleasure and healing?
Well, first of all, I really want you to come visit Laguna Beach again so I can cook for you, because we are like the same being when it comes to food and cravings and pleasure. And I was just having this conversation with somebody today that my birthday's coming up in May. And one of the things I'm calling in for the year ahead is to spend more time cooking for pleasure for myself,
Mm,
because food is such an incredible experience that we as humans get to have 3 times a day. Like
mhm,
3 times a day, you get to experience pleasure and joy.
mhm,
And it can be through food that is nourishing and making you feel good. And there is no guilt behind it. So I went and had an incredible made from scratch taco from a place called Fermentation Farm prior to our conversation, where, the masa is properly fermented. The tortillas are hand pressed. They add kraut and all these
mm,
like different ingredients that are just great for our gut. And it's healthy. Everything is from scratch. There's no seed oils. Everything's organic. There's massive amounts of love in the food. And, when you eat food mindfully that is prepared properly, you also need less. You get full faster because there is an energy that we cannot see that is being transferred into you. And I believe when you are craving certain foods, like you were saying, you're craving that energetic feeling like I am. Like I know when I need a soup or a stew. I know when I need something that's been cooked for 3 or 4 hours because that's going to bring me down. It's going to calm my nervous system. It's going to really nourish my body and help lull me to sleep in the right way. Versus I know when I need like more energy, I know I need, something that's cooked faster or something that's just simply blanched. So like if we look at what it's like to boil water and that water is moving really rapidly, if I cook food in that boiling water, it's then going to carry that rapid boiling energy and that will get transferred to me. So that's when I can just simply quickly blanch some broccoli, some asparagus, have that with a little protein and I'm going to get more energy that way. So we look at food from the vibration of how it's grown under the earth for grounding foods, food that grows towards the sun, which we often think of summer foods like the corn growing up, the tomatoes on the vine, the green beans on the vine growing towards the sun. That's going to give us that uplifting energy. But then you can also take it to the next level with the food preparation, low and slow or fast, and you'll get that transfer as well. You can feel it over time. If you're not in a rush, you can really feel what is being transferred to you.
Oh, that is so cool. I love that. Also, I'd be so honored if you cooked for me. We're going to do that.
Yes.
Also, now we'll come back and celebrate our anniversary in Laguna Beach and you can cook for us.
Yes. We'll do a little dinner one night.
That would be so amazing. But I really feel like, I always tell people that our hands are an extension of our heart chakra, right? We have this ability to extend love into the food that we prepare. So just as you were saying, we have this time, 3 points throughout the day where we get to enjoy a meal. That's the ultimate self-love. That should be an act of self-love. For some people it's not, but it's an opportunity to make it one. And I'm curious if you have any rituals whenever you're cooking for a client or anybody that you infuse food or infuse love into your food. Is there any practices that you do?
There's actually quite a few. So
Okay.
I apply what I feel like I need that day. So it all depends if I'm struggling to get in the zone to cook or not. So a variety of different things that I do. Sometimes I sage myself. Sometimes I put on certain frequency music. So I love to play White Sun, which is a very famous Grammy Award-winning Kundalini yoga group. The songs are Kundalini mantras, and you can literally feel the shift immediately. So if I'm not in the mood to cook, I turn that on and I get in the zone. And it's like I can allow the sound frequency to put the love into the food for me. There's a variety of crystals that I keep on me and also in my kitchen that really help, I know, support the food or support my creativity and my clarity when I'm in the kitchen. I sage my kitchen frequently. And then the thing that you can train yourself to do that you'll just start doing and you don't even realize it is when you're touching the food, when you're chopping the food, when you're stirring the food, I just say love. Or I say to the food what I want that person to feel. So if I really want that person to deeply feel loved and nourished and supported and cared for, I will just say that to the food. And 10 out of 10 times, I will get a response from my client or a friend that I cooked for. I'll get a text message the next day saying, thank you so much for that meal. It made me feel this. And it will always be exactly what I said to the food. It is experiment, make cookies, make some mac and cheese, make a bowl of soups and make something for a friend and deliver it and set that intention before you start or while you're cooking and see how they respond. It is incredible. And if you start doing it, even if you put up a little sign in your kitchen to remind yourself to do it, you'll start to naturally do it every time you're cooking, that you won't need the reminder. And you'll just feel so much better as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love that because it's the same concept of speaking our affirmations into our water. Or anytime that we send a positive or negative emotion, the cellular structure alters of whatever substance that we are, whether it's water, of course, food has water components in it as well. Like there is such a, yep, there we go. She's got her water with her. And it's so powerful. The power of
Mhm.
intention is just, it's so beautiful whenever you get that intention coming back to you and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I felt exactly the intention that you infused into
Yeah.
this meal." You're like, that is a healing exchange. It really is. We
Yeah,
have
and the ultimate thing I want everyone to feel is loved, because I feel like that's the ultimate feeling that everyone feels lack about, and that is actually our true nature, is we're all deeply loved and we're all whole and complete. Um, but for some reason, so many people, I included, throughout different times in your life, feel like that feeling is elusive. So if I can help people feel that every time they sit down for a meal, hopefully I've helped them raise their vibration or their joy level a little bit. So then when they go out and interact with other people, that they can, start that domino effect, and everyone can feel a little more joyous and loved.
absolutely. Also, that's so beautiful. I'm like, I'm so happy we got to meet via this interview. Because it's so true. That's why I'm so obsessed with the Akashic Records and all the work that I do, is that when someone like yourself who is living on purpose, everyone has a purpose, everyone has a role. And like, even you, if you can cook a beautiful meal for someone and help raise their frequency or their vibration, and that term, them feeling love, will allow themselves to spread that love or connect
Mhm.
with their soul's purpose. Like we really are, when we are acting from a place of integrity or a place, literally just a place of wanting to connect with the intention of love, we are in term just connecting with our soul's purpose. And like we all have this perfect little place that we just kind of fit into this universe. Like we all just fit so perfectly. Like you cooking meals and this person does this. And it's like there's just this beautiful connection and exchange. And literally all people have to do in order to tap into that grid, which is just like a light grid,
Yeah.
is just set an intention. Like a lot of people are like, I don't know what it is, or I don't know what the purpose is. I'm like, all you have to do is set an intention to connect and you'll be guided. And I love that that's how you're saying, you're like, start with your food. You guys, starting with food is the most intimate exchange that we experience.
Mhm.
And we can infuse more of our own love into our food and consume that as well. Like that can be a healing experience for ourselves, even if we don't have access to Chef Whitney, which we all should.
Thank you. And you can also take the food you buy. So, like, if you're going to Erewhon, if you're going to Trader Joe's, if you're going to your local market or you're grabbing something to go, you can always put it against your chest and set an intention and then give it to someone or then consume it. You can always take the bowl of food at a restaurant and put your hands around it and ask it to do something for you. Ask it to heal you, ask you to fill you with love, ask that you digest it with ease and grace, whatever you need that fuel to do for you. And I try to remind people, like, we can't and we shouldn't always have to control our food so much. Sometimes in life, especially if you love to travel, you're going to end up in places where the food isn't going to be perfect according to the way you like to eat or what diet you're on or any specific ingredients you need it to always be. There are going to be events that kind of, shake you up. So if you can understand that you can simply bless your food and then just let go and enjoy it, I think that'll also bring a lot of peace and help you realize that your body's really flexible and you can handle anything. So, if you are on a course for a new, more health supportive lifestyle, still approach it with like an 80-20 rule.
Mhm.
Don't try to be perfect at it because your body still needs to be able to be adaptable and flexible.
I love that. I actually, both of those things I've been implementing recently because I'll take the Symbiotica has a longevity mushrooms packet. Have you seen
Yeah.
those? Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it.
So sometimes I'll take those in the morning. I try to be intuitive and see when I need it. And whenever I do, I actually just got trained in Reiki. I'm on the way to becoming a Reiki master. And so that's been my latest official modality that I've been playing in. But I'll put the Reiki symbols on it and I'll like bless
Mhm.
the mushrooms before I take them. They're not psychedelic mushrooms, but still it's a live substance.
Yeah.
And I will set an intention. With these, I'll feel creative today, or I'll say, I'll feel inspired, or I'll feel playful, or I always like to put just like a really light blessing over these, mushrooms or any type of substance, even if it's matcha or something that I know is I'm expecting some type of, outcome with the substance. I always bless it and put an intention on it. And like anyone can
Yeah.
do that. Like I'll put my hands on it and then I'll put it on my heart and then I'll consume it. And it takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah. It's like the 5-minute journal. Have you ever done the 5-minute journal in the morning?
Not the specific one, but I love to journal.
Yeah, so I love doing the 5-minute journal in the morning, especially as like a very busy chef. Sometimes I'll put the intention that I really want to be home by 5 o'clock so I can enjoy a warm dinner for myself.
Mm.
Or I really want to get something completed by a certain time, or I want this to happen. Or, whenever I have podcast episodes like this, like I'll set the intention that like I really want the guest or the podcast host and I to really connect. Like, I really want us to have fun together and connect and share something that's really going to support the listeners. And I find when I set the intention, it always comes true.
Mm.
And, whether it's in the moment with food or just at the beginning of your day, that 5-minute journal makes me think of 3 things to think about, to focus on, to put in writing. And I feel like it improves my life. So it creates a little more magic and synchronicity in the day. And like, you know, there's nothing like a little magic in the day, like
Yeah.
makes everything a little more fun.
And we do. We live in such a magical universe, especially if we allow it to be. The more that we can set the intention, the more that we're going to look for it and the more it's going to show up and the more we're going to be just pleasantly surprised and delighted by the magic around us. So I think that's it's such a good reminder for myself as well, is like we can set intentions with everything, anything we
Mhm.
consume or anything we do. Like we can make everything mindful and everything can carry an intention, especially if you're in a phase of healing or learning or growing or whatever season that you're in. Do you have okay, so you said you cook for 5 families.
Mhm.
Do you have a process of, knowing what they need at the start of the week, or do they kind of, how does that work when you're cooking for them?
Yeah, so I send them out suggested menus that are completely customized to them, how they like to eat, how they want to be eating, their personal goals. I send them custom menus every Thursday. They get back to me on Friday. I put together the shopping list, and then, I cook for a different family every day. So I do the grocery shopping just for them, and I prepare the food just for them. And because I'm a little more intuitive, I can sense when they want certain things on the menu.
Mm.
And you can just tune in and listen. They're always welcome to choose and tell me anything that they want, but I do just take a moment to listen and tune in and see if I can predict that for them, because it's really interesting with people. Most people actually don't know what they want, even when it
Mm.
comes to food.
Mhm.
So you can tell someone, I can make you anything you want, and they won't necessarily be able to get back to you with
Mhm.
answers.
Yeah.
So I have to put together a menu with a few options for them just to get the wheels turning. It's really fascinating.
It really is. And this got me thinking. I put out an episode probably over a year ago, but I talk about how I really believe that everybody has an energetic gift. They can communicate, whether it's with animals or with past loved ones. And you're saying, you're intuitive. And I've always said that I really believe chefs are healers, even
Yes.
chefs that aren't intuitive or maybe don't know they're intuitive, but they
Yes.
are because they're reading the energy of food. It's like people that can keep plants alive and people that can't. Like they are connecting and reading the energy of the plant, whereas some people just aren't as tuned in to the plant, but their gift might be something else. So it's like you have this ability. It's almost like you're like a medicine woman too. You have
Thank
this like
you.
medicine woman healer. So anybody that's ever felt, called to cooking or preparing or anything like that, that is an energetic gift, is a spiritual gift. Like it's such a cool way to be able to spread your love and your gifts and share it with people. And yeah, I love that even when you ask people, they're like, I don't know. And you're like, I know what you need.
Well, I would like to encourage everyone that's listening to try to master 3 different dishes,
Okay.
because at some point in your life, you will connect with somebody you love,
Mm.
whether it's, simply your family or a partner. Like at some point, you're going to want to cook for somebody. And so master 3 dishes that you can infuse love into, whether
Mm.
it's a roast chicken or a soup or a stew or a salad or cookie recipe or how you make your eggs. Like find 3 dishes that are you and that you're proud of. So when that opportunity comes to share your love with them, you can do it through food.
What are your three that you love to share with
Oh,
people?
that's so interesting. No one's ever asked me that.
Yay. I'm dying to know.
So for me, I'm such a seasonal chef,
Uh-huh.
and it's all about how I feel. So I make dishes for different times of year. I love doing a paleo meatball
Hmm.
with a root vegetable mash and some steamed vegetables,
Yum.
because I like the balance of serving someone food that's grown underground and food that's grown above ground, and allowing the food to create balance in their body.
Mm, that's
So I love
beautiful.
doing something like that. This time of year, I love slow cooked meat. So something done in a Dutch oven, a Le Creuset, that seems fancier and more time consuming than it is, but it's super slow cooked with lots of bone broth, like a beef short rib or a lamb
Mm,
stew. Because slow cooked foods really slow people down in a great way
mm,
at the end of the day, makes them feel really grounded, really loved, really at peace. And that's definitely a feeling I want a lot of people to feel. You know, when it becomes like summertime and I want to help people kind of escape their life a little bit, feel like they're on vacation, that's
mm,
when I like to do a salt crusted branzino, like a salt crusted
mm.
fish, make everyone feel like they're on the Amalfi Coast, like they're somewhere in Europe, with
Yum.
just a very light salad. So it's, how do I want that person to feel is always first and foremost. And then what time of year is it? What is in season? And then I go from there.
That is such a good process because I'm thinking in my head, a lot of the stuff that we do is like simple meals, which I like,
Yeah.
but they're typically cooked fast because they are simple. And I'm like, I'm always trying to slow down. So I need to learn some slow roasted, slow cooked meals. That is so
Yeah.
transformative that's altering my brain chemistry right now. I'm like, oh no, not all my fast and easy meals I've been making. I need
Yeah.
this.
So like my Moroccan lamb stew or my beef short ribs, they actually only take 30 minutes to make. It's
Mm,
30 minutes. And then you put it in the oven for 3.5, 4 hours. And so it completely transformed, and it's a slow cook food, but you only had to put 30 minutes into it.
mhm.
And you're only using one pot. Instead of spending 30 minutes using 3 pots, making, your protein, your starch, and your vegetable, you can do it all in one. And it's a slower, easier effort.
Mm.
And that really good, slower vibration result.
Yeah. Well, you're really inspiring me because I know I'm a good cook. My mom is like an incredible chef, not by trade, just by nature and family and everything. She's just so good. And I know it's in me. I just feel like I've been needing to carve out the time to explore and
Yeah.
just play in the kitchen more because I'm so creative. And I think that a lot of food things for me is just like it's another form of art or creativity, So I'm like, I know it's in me. This conversation's really inspiring me to get back. I'm like, when I go home, I'm making a slow cooked meal. That's the first thing I'm doing.
Well, there's a season for everything. So there's a season to play in the kitchen. And
Mhm.
so I find, and something that I'm approaching as well, like we talked about, I want to play more and have more pleasure with the food I
Mhm.
make for myself, is Sundays. Like Sunday is a really great day to plan ahead of time, make sure you have everything in the fridge, and just start dinner a little bit earlier so you can have time to kind of play and try new recipes, because you never want to start cooking when you're hungry. You want to start cooking when you aren't hungry.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
key.
then you can take the time, and then that rush energy isn't in your food, and it
Mm,
will taste so much better.
mm, hmm. That is so true. Like, you don't want to be hurrying or putting any type of, you just want to be aware of the energy that you're infusing into the food because, it's an extension. Our hands are an extension of our being, and the food ultimately is an extension of us. I always, there's so much information that I always get in the Akashic Records around food. One that I think you'll think is
Yeah.
interesting is, when I was in a season of healing and, learning more about my body and just like slowing down in general, I kept being shown they're always like, you can quantum leap while you eat, like while you're ingesting a substance. And I thought that was so cool. So yeah, you look like you haven't heard that.
Tell me more. Teach me.
Okay. Well, so basically, anytime we are engaging in a pleasurable moment, right? So, which is why people love sex magic because it's intense pleasure, right? Pleasure is a portal. Pleasure
Yes.
brings us up into this angelic realm. So,
Okay.
whenever we do things that are really enjoyable or pleasurable, like we paint or things that we just love, that's just bringing you joy and pleasure. You're just enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
That is a place where we are, getting into the quantum field. We're losing track of time.
Mhm.
Pleasure is a portal, essentially. And so when we cook something that we really enjoy and that we really love, and we're just like, when you're just like having a whole body experience, we're like, I'm just present, I'm enjoying this meal, and it's so delicious and pleasurable. That's actually a portal for quantum manifestation, which for any of you guys listening, quantum manifestation is basically when you're just collapsing a timeline. You're meeting a manifestation goal much quicker than the traditional quote unquote time that we experience in the human world.
Isn't that interesting? I find with my manifestation that they happen faster when I'm fed up and I demand.
Mm. So you're like, you're like, I mean, business. You're like, I'm ready.
Yeah, and I call it out. I say it out loud, and I say, "I've waited long enough. This is happening. It's happening now." And that's when the timeline collapses, and
Mm.
it'll appear, I would say, within 60 days for me.
Wow. That's, oh, sorry. What were you going to
You don't
say?
know. It's just, but I want to see what happens. I'm going to now apply that to when I'm having meals that are just blowing my mind,
Mm-hmm.
or when I'm in a restaurant with an ambiance and a food and a person where everything is just it's the perfect it's the dream recipe. It's all
Mm-hmm.
fallen into the place, everything that I love all at once. I'm going to now focus when I'm in those moments to call in how to create more of that, more of what I want, more of those feelings.
Yeah. Well, because think it's, you're putting yourself in this place of feeling good, especially if food is something that you're so connected to. For anyone who is, really connected to food, it's a perfect portal for manifestation for you. It's like, it's an energetic exchange. And if we're in this place of this perfect ambiance and feeling good and all these things, it's the perfect recipe to then bring in the manifestation to the front. Start to connect with these feelings of like, ooh, what would it feel like if I was, here with whoever you want to be there with, or, whatever, calling it in.
Yeah.
Also, you just sparked my memory when you said that when you get kind of fussy and you're like, no, I've waited long enough. It's now. I tell Shannon this, and I don't think I've ever said it publicly. I'm not sure. And it's not a secret. I just had never come up, but it was right before I met my fiance now, Austin. And I was dating. It was weird. It was like at the time I was kind of like dating like two different guys, not like seriously, but just kind of seeing, having fun, whatever. And I really thought one was going to turn into some sort of a relationship. And I ended up kind of getting love bombed and just like misreading the situation. And I was so pissed because I'm like, no, I've been doing so much work. I cannot believe I fell into that trap of like the love bombing. Like, I'm like, fuck this. I'm pissed. Like, I was so, which of course immediately like cut it off, shut the situation down. And I just remembered I went home that night and I was in my room and I just started crying because I was just so frustrated with the whole situation. It was just like a
Mhm.
lot of like trying to figure things out. Just, it was just a lot. And I was like, I'm over it. I am over this. And I remember having a tantrum with myself in my room and the universe and just being like, I know my person is so close, but like, what the fuck is this runaround mess that I'm in right now? Like, I'm over it. I'm done. I swear I met Austin 2 weeks later. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with all of that, whatever that was. It was very confusing and feelings were hurt and it's done. And I told Shannon that because she was my friend. She was single for a while, and I was like, I threw a tantrum, and then 2 weeks later, I'm in Austin. She went through the same thing. She's like, I threw a fit. I was like, I'm over it. I'm done with all of this wishy washy. It's out. Goodbye. And then now she's engaged to be married as well. We both kind of threw a tantrum. So, not that we should always throw tantrums. I don't know if that will always work for me, but I've had those moments where I'm like, that's it. Maybe you can't take anymore. You just reach a cutoff point, and that's the
Or
point.
maybe we're just getting hyper clear, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Maybe we've just been too soft on what we're calling in,
Mhm.
and we really make a stand, not just with our words, but our physical body must shift in a way that we
Mhm.
are so concrete on what we want that the timeline shifts and we get it
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like, and even those emotions of, frustration or anger or rage, all of those are meant to evoke clarity in our bodies. So even that brings us into this clear vision where we're like, this is the thing and nothing else. Goodbye. It's this or nothing. And I feel like when you have that mentality, when you're not going to accept anything else and you're like, it's this, then the universe is like, okay, she understood the task. Ding, 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 ring the bell, push her on to the next level.
I would love to know your thoughts with this in mind
Hmm.
on birthday manifestations. Do you
Mm.
think it is an extra special, powerful day, or do you think every day is a powerful day for manifestation?
I think every day is a powerful day for manifestation, but I love birthday manifestation because think about it. You are getting a lot of extra attention that you can harness on the day that, think about it. Like they're seeing you, they're sending you messages, people are sending you love. You maybe go out with a group of friends, all eyes are on you. Perfect. Right? We're literally receiving more information into our body and we can,
Mm.
especially for, friends and family and people we love, and we can always harness that power to connect deeper with ourselves and to manifest. And so I think, yes, I think all days are powerful, but I think birthdays are fun because you're receiving love from other people and you can take that love and do something really awesome and powerful with it.
I like that perspective.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think birthdays are just, I think they're just a fun time also to celebrate you and to celebrate life. And
Mm.
when you start to realize that just celebrating life and celebrating being alive is something that we should do all the time, it also makes our manifestations come faster because so much of it is just celebrating and being present in the moment.
Yeah. It's just back to the pleasure. It's like, where do I find pleasure and how do I create more of that in my life?
Hmm. And that's, yeah. Like I haven't had, I'm so happy you came on because I forgot about the whole pleasure as a portal thing. And I just haven't had the right person to tell it to. But since you're such a foodie and you understand the
Yeah.
energetic exchange, I'm like, it's a quantum portal. So I'm like, do with that what you will. I can't wait to see what you do with it. I'm gonna practice it too, but I'm also gonna practice my 3 recipes.
Well, and you can have pleasure in the simplest way. Like, you don't have to go out and find a complex French recipe to make.
Hmm.
Go to the farmer's market this spring and buy peak season fruit and like bite
Mm.
into that plum or that
Hmm.
peach or that nectarine and like taste what that flavor is really like. Like, that is serious pleasure. Like, binge on some incredible Bing cherries,
Mm.
maybe take it to another level and like make yourself a cobbler. But like, you can take simple food and find massive pleasure. Like, think about, like, I love coffee, I love green tea. Like, when I
Mm.
splurge and do a really good quality cup of coffee or my jasmine pearl organic green tea from, dragon herbs, I get massive pleasure out of it. So you can approach it in a really simple way.
Yeah, I like that. It doesn't have to be something so prepared, but something that we just can, elevate or try something new, try something that excites our taste buds. I
Mhm.
also, yeah. So what were you saying was your favorite coffee? Because I'm sure everyone would love to hear that.
Oh, so I'm a single origin girl. So when I can
Mm,
find a single origin Guatemala, El Salvador,
mm,
Costa Rica, Honduras, those, for some reason, that soil. It's because, right?
mm,
It's the coffee originally is from Central America. and it's in its native region,
Mm-hmm.
and it's absorbing the minerals and creating the flavor profile from that land. That's what really resonates for me, is the flavor profiles from those regions. So I love an Americano, Euro style, less water, single origin. And when I get a hot cup, a hot Americano that way, and it's in a mug, it's not in a to-go cup, because when you really work on your psychic abilities and your palate, I can taste the paper in the cup. The cup of coffee doesn't taste as good. You'll start to notice the cup you use can make the food taste better. Just like the bowl and plate you serve it on, eating a meal with a real fork versus a plastic fork, you're going to start to taste the difference, and the pleasurable experience will be adjusted with what you use. So when all those elements come together and I get the single origin coffee in a mug, at a beautiful coffee shop with great ambiance, it is the biggest hit of joy for me.
Oh, I love that, because I'm about to buy some new kitchenware and I'm going to take that into mine. I'm like, I need to get the most pleasurable kitchen everything that I can get: plates and
Yes.
cups and mugs. And do you have a certain material that you're like, are you like all glass, or what is your, for like plates and serving? What's your recommendation?
So I love white because I want the food to be the show. So I want the food to pop, the food to be the show. If you really want pattern plates, I always think it's great to get that as a large plate, as like kind of like your charger.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to serve on white. But I do have a philosophy for myself, and that is I don't like to allow anything into my kitchen that I don't love. So I take the time to make sure that every little piece that I buy is not just functional, but beautiful to me. So it has to carry both, because space for me right now is limited, and I really want everything to make me happy that I use. And I take clients sometimes to Williams Sonoma or to Sur La Table to purchase a variety of products for their kitchen, because I need them to have the tools that actually work. And I do ask them, like, you walk up to buy a spatula or a ladle or a variety of different tools, and there's like 7 different options. I make sure that they take a moment to like choose. It's not just like what matches your kitchen, like what's pretty to you. Like, which one does actually speak to you? And then let's hold it in our hand, and I can let you know if that's actually the functional spatula or the non-functional spatula. But I think it's important that they carry both elements.
I love that. Everything in the kitchen we have to love. We have to love it.
Yeah, and then it's quality over quantity too, You don't need a lot of stuff. You just need the stuff that works.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So do you have any particular, like your mugs, or any type of material that you're like, oh, ceramic, I tend to go to, a stainless steel, or anything in particular? You're just like, if it's beautiful.
No, so it's weird. I do find when it comes to teas and coffee, if you drink it in porcelain, it tastes better than clay or ceramic.
Okay.
So I do find the different materials that you drink out of will make the food taste different.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with wine glasses, if you buy a higher quality wine glass that's much more lighter in weight, your wine will taste better than a cheap, heavy wine glass. If you buy a wine glass with a stem, so you aren't touching the wine or touching the beverage, so the beverage stays the temperature that it's supposed to, it will taste better. So there's, it's just like if you start to research champagne glasses, there's a reason why the traditional champagne glasses were that wide mouth. So it could breathe and the bubbles could expand. And the flute that we all know now was a design change just for look, but your champagne doesn't taste the same out of it, and actually doesn't taste as good. So, it's a little bit of both.
I love that. Yeah, you've given me a lot. Like, that makes so much sense with the champagne and expanding. My mom loves a coupe, like the wide open.
Yep, that's the traditional way, and it's also what makes the champagne taste, better. I think silverware is really important. Like, you should definitely use stainless steel or silver if you so desire. And you need to make sure you like how it feels in your hand. Like, you should really take the time to try, and that's something you can't buy online. you really need to go and feel it in person, because it will change how you eat and enjoy the meal.
Oh, that's such a good piece of advice as well, because it really is. It's like this hand-mouth connection, you wanna have a good relationship with what you're holding. I love that. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, and men and women have different hands and require different weights. So, be flexible, but make sure you get what works for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, since you're going to be potentially registering for all these wonderful gifts, definitely touch, feel, play, go into the store, figure out what works for you guys. Um, build a kitchen and a home with the things that light you guys up, that
Mhm.
are also what you want to play with and have pleasure with in your kitchen and your new life.
Oh, thank you so much, Whitney. You've given me so many tips and takeaways and things, and I'm gonna quite literally food for thought. I'm gonna take I'm gonna
I
take
hope so.
I'm gonna take with me into our gift registry and all of the things.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we got to connect. And please let everyone know all of the things. Like, where can they find you? What are you doing? Tell us and all the ways they can connect with you.
Thank you. You can find me on Instagram, of course, at Whitney Aronoff or at Starseed Kitchen, which is my line of organic spice blends that I infuse with high vibration frequency and quartz Giza crystals.
Mhm.
If you're ever in Los Angeles, please stop into Erewhon and pick up a jar of my Starseed Kitchen spices. And then you can tune into my podcast where I like to explore everything that supports high vibration living. So to go beyond the food and all the spiritual practices that can light you up. And you can find the High Vibration Living podcast, anywhere you tune into your podcasts.
Oh, thank you so much. Everyone go find her. I'm totally next time I go to Erewhon, I'm gonna take pictures of me buying your Starseed Kitchens. I can't wait.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Well, this has just been an absolute pleasure, pleasurable moment, a pleasurable moment
Yes,
today. And I hope to connect with you in Laguna. And in the
me too.
meantime, just thank you for being here. And I'm so excited for this episode to come out.
Thank you. It's such a treat to connect with you too.
As always, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel so called or if it feels aligned, I would love for you to leave me a review here. I always love reading your beautiful thoughts and messages. And also, you can find me at Anna Grace Newell on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I will link all of my courses, AG University course curriculum in the show notes, along with if you're interested in booking an Akashic Records reading with me. My scheduling link goes out in my newsletter. It goes out once a month and it's completely free. I would love to have you there. As always, I'm a proud professor and you get an A+ for making it all the way through the end. Love you.